The air thrummed with a palpable sense of purpose, a new chapter unfolding for Diep. Standing before the freshly mounted company sign, a symbol of her unwavering resolve and entrepreneurial spirit, she announced, her voice carrying a note of triumphant optimism. "Hello, everyone. I just finished installing the sign." This was more than a mere business venture. It was the tangible manifestation of a future she was determined to seize, a defiant step into a world she sought to reshape through her own vision. Immediate and pressing operational matters necessitated attention. Adjacent to their newly claimed space lay a bustling car repair shop, and the establishment of clear, definitive boundaries was paramount for both functionality and harmony. In the future, she explained, her gaze sweeping across the shared perimeter with strategic intent, we will also block a wall from here to separate your car repair place and our place. That's fine too. You stay on this side. You stay on this side, we'll stay on the other side. That's right. Less noise for comfort. Her words, precise and strategically delivered, outlined the partitioning of space, aiming to secure both operational efficiency and a measure of tranquility for her burgeoning enterprise. A simple, hospitable gesture of offering water underscored the blend of formal negotiation and inherent community warmth that characterized their interactions. The conversation seamlessly transitioned to the crucial rental agreement, a testament to the informal yet binding contracts common within their close-knit village. The other day, I asked you to help me with the rental contract. Have you finished it yet? She probed, seeking confirmation of the vital paperwork. The terms, surprisingly uncomplicated, reflected a deep-seated trust and reliance on mutual understanding rather than legalistic complexities. Okay, I'll rent it to you. If it's just us villagers, you won't have to do any paperwork. I'll just pick you up after 6 months. Give me a lump sum of money, okay? Recalling a previous arrangement, she reiterated the terms, ensuring clarity. Just like last time, you said that I'm on that side, so you'll rent it to me for 1,000 VND a month. A tangible commitment followed, a financial pledge to solidify her venture. Okay, can I deposit a little bit for you first? Okay, here is my deposit for you, 5,000 VND in advance. The rest when I come here in a few days, I will pay more for you. With the agreement secured, the practicalities of transforming the physical space moved swiftly to the forefront of her planning. That's okay. Probably somewhere tomorrow outside there. We will send someone to do these walls. We will start coming here. I will come and pay the rest for you. There was a respectful, I also ask for permission. Before she prepared for her departure, a quiet urgency underpinning her movements, driven by the multitude of tasks ahead. Yes, I'm going home. Yes, why don't you let me pay? I still have money these days. The exchange, brief yet meaningful, revealed a delicate balance of respect and immediate financial considerations. As she departed, a final instruction was given to Dawn, a silent yet unwavering companion whose presence suggested a deeper, more personal anchor in her unfolding journey. We're going home, Dawn? The narrative then settled on a moment of quiet concern for Dawn's adjustment to their new environment. Is it still strange? She inquired, her voice softened by empathy. I'm sure you'll get used to living here soon. If you guys get used to it, I'll let you go out later. Her thoughts swiftly turned to the sprawling agricultural expanse she had recently acquired, a landscape brimming with untold potential, a canvas for her grandest ambitions. I was thinking of telling you that you'll take me to see the grapefruit and pineapple gardens. Okay. You'll also buy the whole area. It's very large, but that day you still haven't shown me around yet. The sheer scale of this acquisition, its unrevealed contours, hinted at the profound vision driving Diep's every calculated move. Let's see how today I'll show you around and show you how to take care of it at home, she declared, stepping into the dual role of visionary leader and practical guide. The garden, an expansive and largely unmapped territory, began to yield its secrets. This garden is actually just an estimate. It's quite large. Over there are grapefruits from Kia to here. Here is the middle. I only buy up to Kia. First, we'll look at the grapefruits first. Meticulous details followed, revealing the intricate planning behind her agricultural enterprise. According to the landowner, there are 300 grapefruit trees. About 100 are Cat Kui grapefruits, 50 are Fucktrack grapefruits, and the remaining 100 or so are sugar grapefruits. That's right, she affirmed, demonstrating a surprising and detailed grasp of the specifics that would underpin her burgeoning business. Recalling past successes, she mentioned, "The other day I picked them. They were sweet grapefruits, sugar grapefruits. I also picked them here to sell." Yes, I also picked them here. Her focus then shifted to the natural features defining her new property, integrating them into her strategic vision. "My key point is right under Kia Stream. Yes, down here, from under that stream, it flows down. Follow the edge of the stream on this side to that side." The natural environment itself was being harnessed as a partner in her agricultural plan. An impulse to personally assess the produce led her to reach for a fruit. "Let me pick one to try. This one? Yes, let's try it." The raw, unadulterated taste of her land, a critical sensory assessment, promised much. Her evaluation was swift and decisive. This one is okay, or let me peel it." "Here, it's very juicy." This initial appraisal immediately informed a crucial business strategy, a bold declaration of intent. "We won't sell this grapefruit hill to anyone. We'll keep it as the first batch of our company." This was a foundational decision, marking the enterprise's inaugural harvest as a powerful symbol of its autonomy and unwavering commitment to direct control over its produce. "We'll wait for about a month to harvest this grapefruit. We'll hire someone to harvest it and collect it at our company's place, and then you'll contact the traders and they'll come to buy it." The logistical chain, from harvest to market, was already meticulously charted, showcasing a forward-thinking and comprehensive approach. The rationale behind direct sales was unequivocally clear, rooted in astute business acumen. "If we sell it to other people, the price will definitely not be as good as our company's direct sale." This statement underscored Diep's sharp understanding of market dynamics and the imperative to maximize every potential profit margin for her fledgling company. Beyond the immediate fruit, the grapefruit offered a remarkable array of versatile byproducts, revealing an integrated approach to resource utilization. This grapefruit peel can be used to make jam. This is a jam to eat, this grapefruit peel jam, and besides, it's used to make shampoo. "It smells really good. The smell of this grapefruit is so strong, but I have to admit, this is really juicy." This demonstrated a commitment to minimizing waste and diversifying potential revenue streams. Yet, a candid, pragmatic assessment of the fruit's current state was also offered. "Actually, this grapefruit isn't very sweet yet. It'll only start to get sweet in about half a month, and it'll have a lot of juice, but it's not sweet enough yet." The precise timing of the harvest was presented as a critical factor, demanding patience and environmental cooperation. "Yes, it'll be ready to eat in a month, right?" "About a month from now, and the weather has to be sunny." Specifics regarding the different grapefruit varieties were then clarified, a crucial aspect of agricultural management. "What kind of grapefruit is this?" "This is Cat Kui grapefruit. This area is Cat Kui." The sugar grapefruit is in the upper corner. The other one is on this side. If I remember correctly, it is on this side. This side is Fuck Track grapefruit, right? Despite her developing expertise, she humbly conceded, "But I admit I don't know how to distinguish grapefruit.
Nothing to worry about.
I have to look at its leaves, then I will be able to distinguish. And after a while, when you get used to it, you will be able to distinguish it." This honest admission highlighted her dedication to a steep learning curve, a willingness to acquire the deep knowledge necessary to master her new agricultural domain. The tour continued, the focus shifting to another promising crop within her expansive property. "The pineapple here is honey pineapple. We can also sell it to traders. I see that in this grapefruit area, people also plant them alternately." This intelligent intercropping strategy, she explained, optimized land utilization and offered a vital layer of crop diversification, ensuring resilience and multiple income streams. The pineapples themselves were visibly impressive, testament to the fertility of the land. That's right, these pineapples are very big." "Yes, I admit they're really big." She then highlighted a particularly desirable characteristic, crucial for future marketing and consumer appeal. "I remember they come from the south, and this eye of theirs doesn't itch when eaten like normal pineapples. I see that its leaves don't have thorns, and you can eat the eyes inside. Yes, it doesn't itch." As they traversed the winding paths of the property, the exact boundaries of her acquisition became progressively clearer, a meticulous detail for long-term planning.
I wonder if this one is...
When we get to the pineapple garden, I'll explain more clearly. Let me go over here so I can tell you. Where does the land end? It only reaches the area below this ravine. The rest is right here in this ravine. Wherever there are grapefruit trees, it's mine. This precise delimitation of her domain was critical for ensuring future clarity and avoiding potential disputes. Diep's vision, however, extended far beyond mere cultivation. It encompassed an integrated ecosystem. Here, I look down here. It comes from below this ravine. From there, like this, around this area to here.
Hello.
I'm also planning to raise some ducks down here, but I don't know if it will affect the grapefruit trees. I don't think it will. Yes, and the grapefruit trees also create shade. In hot weather, ducks and chickens can also take shelter. This revealed an integrated, sustainable approach to agriculture, where diverse elements of the farm could mutually benefit each other, forming a harmonious and productive ecosystem. Their expedition led them finally to the main pineapple plantation, a significant portion of her new estate. Yes, and this is the pineapple garden I also looked at the other day, but I don't know where it goes. Be careful. The land I bought only goes up to here. It ends here. And from here it falls down. And from where this tree falls in, it's their land, not ours anymore. The subtle yet crucial nuances of property lines were meticulously observed, a vital measure for preempting any future disagreements or encroachment. A realistic and pragmatic appraisal of the current crop's condition was then shared. Actually, this pineapple tree is in August and September, but right now it's not in its season, so it will be quite sour to eat. This demonstrated a clear understanding that immediate gratification was not the overarching goal. Rather, strategic long-term planning was paramount for sustainable success. We won't need to take care of it too much. It only goes up to there. But on this side, it's quite wide, bro. On this side, the pineapples cannot be harvested this time because it's not in its season. I see that the fruit is also very sparse. Besides, this season it's sour, it's out of season, it's not in its season.
So
This pragmatic assessment underscored the immutable importance of seasonal cycles in agriculture and the absolute necessity of patience and foresight. The long-term strategy for the pineapple cultivation was then clearly articulated, a blueprint for future prosperity.
the pineapples here.
Prepare when TED is over in March and April. I'll start taking care of it at that time. At that time, I'll take care of it until August and September. It will be harvested. A precise timeline, mapping out the projected harvest season with clarity and purpose. The potential yield from this section of the land was presented as highly significant, based on the previous owner's detailed reports. Last year, the owner of this garden said that they harvested 20,000 VND. 20,000 VND per crop. And this crop, I think if I harvest it to sell, it will be a little bit better. The promise of such substantial income served as a powerful driving force behind the entire enterprise. A moment of serendipitous discovery interrupted their discussion. A single, perfectly ripe fruit found amidst the still developing crop, a small victory. Here is a fruit like this one. It's ripe, okay? We'll try it in a bit. Let's go back to the shack. A small, immediate reward for their extensive exploration and meticulous planning. As they began their retreat from the sprawling fields, a practical word of caution was issued, acknowledging the raw, untamed nature of the landscape.
I know it's been a while, but
Yes, be careful. These things are sharp. They can hurt your feet. Don, ever present and attentive, was addressed. His response immediate and unwavering, affirming his commitment to Diep's vision. Don,
What do you think about
yes, I'm listening. The scene then transitioned, focusing on Diep's immediate domestic plans, imbued with the same purposeful energy. Yes, I'll be back soon. Yes, you stay. I'm going home. I have a little work to do, then I'll be back.
Hey,
The successful installation of the company sign was not merely a business milestone, but a moment worthy of communal celebration. So, are you coming up here to eat today? Yes. Today is the day we install the business sign. I'm going out to buy some things to prepare. Mom and Nee will also come up here in a bit.
Okay, boy.
We'll have dinner together here. A shared meal, a symbolic gathering of family and trusted allies, was planned to consecrate this significant new beginning, blending personal triumph with collective support. You just take care of your work. I'll go home and handle some work first. Yes, I'll be careful when I go home. Done. Why are you still unfamiliar with this place? You'll gradually get used to it. I really need you here to be my friend so you can take care of the house for me. Be good, remember? Stay home, I have to go out and buy some food. The profound reliance on Dawn, his crucial role as a steadfast confidant and dedicated caretaker of her household, was explicitly articulated, underscoring the deep trust and interdependence within their small, evolving world. The tranquility of Diep's burgeoning enterprise was abruptly interrupted by a profound familial discord, signaling deeper, unresolved tensions. Hi, Dad. James, Diep's partner, greeted his father, a note of surprise and perhaps apprehension in his voice. Have you been home for long? You just got home this morning. Why didn't you call? Let me come down and pick you up. It's convenient for you to come back in a day or two. The unexpected arrival created an immediate tension, a sense of unpreparedness, suggesting his father's return from abroad was driven by an unspoken, perhaps unwelcome agenda. Oh yes, work over there is still fine, right, Dad? Yes, work over there is still good. James attempted to maintain a veneer of normalcy, but his father's directness cut through it with surgical precision. But what happened when you came back to Vietnam this time? You had some work, so you came back to take care of it. What happened when you called me? Is there something that needs to happen to call? Dad, I miss you so much, so I just called you. James defended his simple act of calling, but his father's response was sharp, almost accusatory, imbued with a deeply ingrained transactional mindset. Oh yes, because I think there must be something that needs to happen for you to call me. The underlying suspicion, the expectation of obligation, hung heavy in the air, revealing a rift deeper than mere distance. Why has it been so long since I last saw you? You look at me like I'm not comfortable, the father observed, a veiled criticism of James's demeanor. James, visibly weary, offered a mundane explanation for his discomfort. Oh, it's nothing. I went to work all day today. I got caught in the rain, so I'm a bit tired. He quickly deflected, attempting to shift the focus back to a neutral topic. How's my life lately? I'm still normal, Dad. The conversation then pivoted abruptly to James's professional future, a thinly disguised attempt by his father to steer him back onto a predetermined corporate path. Do you want to go back to the company? What do you mean? Do you want to go back to work at the company? James's response, however, indicated a newfound independence, a profound detachment from the corporate legacy his father envisioned for him. I think it's probably not because I feel that the company is still doing well right now, even without me. So whether I come back or not, I think it's not too important. This unexpected dismissal clearly frustrated his father, who had anticipated a far different outcome, a dutiful return. Dad, you called me to talk about this. James tried to redirect, but his father, undeterred, pressed on to another contentious point. Oh no, there's one more thing. How are Diep and I? James's relationship with Diep, clearly a sensitive topic, was next on the agenda. Oh, Diep and I are still good, Dad. I'm also planning on getting married to Diep, but right now we're stuck with opening a company, so we don't have time to get to that point. The father's approval for Diep was grudgingly given, a concession rather than a blessing, but a new, deeper conflict immediately emerged, striking at the heart of James's personal choices. Dad, I agree with Diep, but if I adopt another child, then Dad doesn't agree. What Dad means is ni. The issue of ni, an adopted child, revealed a fundamental clash of values, a stark divergence in what constituted family. James steadfastly defended his decision, believing his father's disapproval stemmed from a lack of familiarity, a failure to truly know ni. Well, I think it's good, but maybe it's because Dad hasn't met Ni yet, so Dad thinks like that. I think Ni is a very good girl, and adopting a girl like that, I think it must be a good thing. But Dad doesn't agree. The father's resistance, however, was deeply rooted in a rigid adherence to tradition and a perceived transgression against familial norms. Dad has accepted me to marry Diep, and Diep has been married before, so I'm adopting another child. Dad doesn't agree. James, recognizing this hypocrisy, immediately pointed out the inconsistency. So, aren't you also adopting Hung? The implication was clear. If Hung, another adopted child, was deemed acceptable, why was Nee not? The double standard was laid bare. The father's retort was dismissive, an attempt to rationalize the inconsistency without true justification. Hung is different. It's not like what I'm saying, so Dad can understand. But James was firm, his voice hardening with unwavering resolve, asserting his autonomy. This is my choice. Whether Dad agrees or not, the wedding will still take place, and Dad will witness it. Whether I'm unfilial or not, I'll still do it because I've never done anything wrong. I say that not because I'm unfilial, but because I'm an adult. I know enough to know what's right and what's wrong. His declaration was a profound assertion of his independence, a rejection of filial piety, when it demanded a compromise of his core beliefs and personal integrity. Black and white are clear, I can see. So I hope Dad understands, James concluded, his stance unwavering, his principles non-negotiable. The father, seeing his authority challenged and his attempts to control his son's life thwarted, resorted to an ultimatum, a stark choice designed to force James back into compliance with his will. Okay now, Dad, I'll give you two options. One is you choose Diep, two is you choose the company. This was a test of loyalty, a demand to prioritize filial duty and corporate legacy over personal happiness in the chosen family James sought to build. James, however, deflected the challenge with a weary familiarity, suggesting this was not the first time such an ultimatum had been issued. Didn't you ask me once before? I think you probably have the answer. Let's forget about this and talk about it another time. The deep-seated conflict, it seemed, was a perennial struggle, far from resolved. Abruptly, James turned to a different concern, a subtle shift in his tone hinting at a growing, ominous unease. Where is my brother Hung? Dad, I haven't seen him for a few days. The question, initially gentle, carried a rising undercurrent of anxiety. His father offered a casual explanation, attempting to quell any apprehension without truly understanding its depth. Hung said he went on a business trip to Cambodia. I also called him, but I couldn't contact him. I think their signal is different from ours. That's why I couldn't contact him. Hung will probably be back in a few days, so don't think too much about it. Despite the superficial reassurance, a seed of doubt had been planted, growing rapidly in James's mind. Unwilling to prolong the contentious discussion, James sought an exit. His final words a defiant reiteration of his steadfast position. If there's nothing else, I'll ask for your permission. As for the story you told, even if you ask me again later, I'll still say the same thing. I'll still answer like that. His departure was a resolute act, leaving the unresolved familial tension and the burgeoning worry about Hung hanging heavily in the air. The final, seemingly innocuous question from his father, "Do you have a nice dog, Diep?" felt incongruous, almost a deliberate attempt to change the subject, or perhaps a subtle, passive-aggressive dig at Diep's humble beginnings and simpler life. Meanwhile, life at Diep's new home continued its industrious yet serene pace. The recent rain had softened the earth, making the path around the nascent company grounds a bit slippery, a minor detail in the grand scheme of things. Inside, Diep was immersed in preparations for the celebratory meal, her hands busy washing and marinating ingredients with practiced ease. "I'm washing my hands to marinate the meat and then grill it, Nee," she called out to the young girl, her voice warm and inviting. Nee, seemingly enjoying the domestic scene, asked, "Do you want to drink some water?" And then, with childlike eagerness, "Yes, Nee, I like it. Can I go in with Diep?" Diep responded with an encouraging and gentle, "Yes, okay. You go to work, I'll rest, I'll finish." Her interaction with Nee was nurturing, a poignant contrast to the strained and formal exchange James had just endured, highlighting the different emotional landscapes they inhabited. Nee, with characteristic childlike enthusiasm, embraced her assigned task, a small but meaningful contribution to the evening's festivities. "What did you draw first? When you're done, show it to Ms. Diep." Diep offered gentle guidance, reinforcing the child's involvement in the household's activities and fostering a sense of belonging. "Yes, just sit there." Please help me a bit. What will you make? Yes, I'll make grilled food. The domestic scene was one of communal effort and eager anticipation, all centered around James's imminent return. When you're done, James will come home. James said he was busy, but I forgot to ask. Diep then shared the day's significant progress, her voice imbued with a sense of accomplishment and future promise. Today, James and I also finished setting up the sign. Tomorrow we will open a store to buy all kinds of fruits. The vision was rapidly taking shape, moving from concept to concrete, tangible action, driven by their combined efforts. A practical inquiry followed, focusing on the crucial logistics of their new commercial venture.
It's my favorite.
Where will we rent a location? It's nearby, Ms. Diep. Is it nearby? Yes, is that place good for business? Yes. The roads around there are very wide, and its brothers are also the intersection where many people gather to harvest, so everyone will carry them across the road and go sell. I will be nearby, so if it is convenient, I will stop them there and I will buy right there. The strategic placement of their fruit store was a key consideration, meticulously planned to intercept producers directly, maximizing efficiency and ensuring a constant supply of fresh produce. The fundamental question of financial viability was then raised, a common and critical concern for any nascent enterprise. Do the two of us have enough capital to do business? Yes, I have it too. Yes, James also said he has it, so it is probably enough. Is that so? The mutual assurance of sufficient capital instilled a shared confidence, a bedrock for their ambitious plans. Yes, when the opening day comes, you can come in to see what the selling location is like. Yes, when the opening day comes,
I remember
let me in.
when I was a little girl.
Yes, that would be great.
My mom used to tell me stories.
James also talked to me the other day, but I haven't had time to go yet.
So you're gonna use your thumb
Diep,
and your
ever practical and deeply supportive, extended a crucial safety net. Yes, if the two of us lack capital to do business, just tell me. Yes, I don't have to be shy. Yes, I bought too many things.
fish kebabs today.
The spirit of collaboration and mutual support was strong, a testament to the robust foundation of their shared ambition and trust. The narrative abruptly returned to James's increasingly anxious conversation with his father, the simmering concern about Hung still unresolved, now morphing into overt worry.
I'm so excited.
How is your job?
I made it from scratch.
She still goes to work as usual, Dad. I haven't been able to contact her for the past few days.
Let me try one.
I've called Hung, so now I'll call them and tell them to contact me to see if Hung is anywhere. I'm reporting a loss of signal, Dad. I can't contact him. James's worry was palpable, a stark contrast to his father's earlier nonchalance, highlighting the widening gap in their perceptions of the situation. The missing brother, a figure of increasing mystery, now cast a long, disquieting shadow over James's immediate concerns and plans. The deepening concern for Hung intensified further, casting a pall over James's already strained conversation with his father, morphing into a genuine and profound anxiety. I'll try calling my friend there later to see if he's seen Hung there, because Hung often talks to that friend, but that friend lives quite far from the place where Hung is on business, so it will probably take a while to know where Hung is. James articulated his desperate, rapidly forming plan, highlighting the logistical difficulties inherent in tracing his missing brother, who had seemingly vanished into the vastness of a foreign landscape. Okay, I'll just call to see why I haven't been able to contact him for the past few days. Dad, I'm worried. The anxiety in his voice was undeniable, a stark and painful contrast to his father's seemingly dismissive and almost detached attitude towards Hung's disappearance. His father, however, continued to downplay the gravity of the situation, clinging stubbornly to a convenient, almost simplistic explanation, unwilling to confront the darker possibilities. I think it's probably okay. It's probably because the network is bad or the signal is lost. Because when I go to see trees there, I just go into the forest, so I think it's probably just like that. Besides, this isn't the first time Hung has been there, so I think there's nothing to worry about, Dad. But James's worry was not easily assuaged. A sinister undercurrent of modern deceit and the inherent dangers of travel fueled his growing apprehension, making his father's reassurances seem hollow. Nowadays, people are very deceitful. So, Dad, I'm worried because he said he was going. When he left, he told me to call. The unfulfilled promise of communication, a simple gesture of reassurance that never materialized, coupled with the increasing dangers of the world, magnified his deep-seated fear. The precise timeline of Hung's disappearance further escalated James's alarm, transforming abstract worry into concrete panic.
Be kind to
Dad,
yourself.
he said he would be back in 3 days. But now it's been more than 3 days and he hasn't come back, so Dad, I'm worried. Hung said he'll be back in 3 days. The anxious repetition underscored the breach of trust, the tangible reason for his escalating panic, the clear and present danger. A more aggressive and immediate search strategy was immediately proposed, outlining a desperate course of action. Let me contact my friends there to find a way to contact Hung,
This looks
or go to the
amazing.
place where Hung's brother works to see if there are any clues about Hung or not. If there's nothing, then we'll find a way to solve it later. And now, you guys probably have to ask Dad's permission.